Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome. Mindset Monday, Mindset, whatever you call it. It's a Monday. Our mindset is good. We're ready to roll. I got Al Kieran. My name's David Litt. And it's right toward the top of the hour. As you come on, let us know in the chat where you're zooming in from.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I've got to change this bridge. It just keeps going back to not letting people chat. So I got to reset it every time. At least I know where that is now. So that's
yeah, I love technology when you don't know. That's what's fun.
All right. Washington, Nebraska, Florida, Nebraska, Puerto Rico, California, LA, SC, South Carolina, Chicago, Alberta, Canada, Washington, Florida, South Carolina. We got a couple of folks from South Carolina. Like to see it. I'm going to be down in South Carolina, North Carolina in September to see some buddies. So good. All right. Texas, Nebraska, Northern Idaho, Alberta, Canada. Glad to have you all.
You can't come in that way.
Good, Al. You're unmuted. So there we go. Perfect. All right, Dr. Boger, welcome. La Puente, California. Glad to have you all. Welcome. Good to see you. Good to have you. We are wrapping up The One Thing. Hey, from Ohio. Hi, Tiffany. Welcome. Glad to have you on. Yeah, we're going to be wrapping up a really, really awesome book, The One Thing. If you read the book, drop a comment in the chat. If you didn't read the book, drop a comment in the chat. It's not required reading, it's volunteer, but it's good to see who read it, who didn't. And if you did read it, would love some insights from in the chat of what you saw or what you learned. Loved it. Read it. Good. We're going to cover the last little bit here. It's not going to be super official as to what chapters we're covering, but I know Al pulled a couple of concepts. I pulled a couple of concepts, and we're going to need to get running here. Did David say he's going to be available? Or
yeah, David's just trying to get in. You get a chance if we're having a problem there, but he's ready to go. He just couldn't get in for some reason.
No problem. We'll give it another 15-20 seconds, and if not, we're going to get running. And it was great to have David as part of this, and hopefully he can jump on. Good. All right. Brian watched it or listened to it on YouTube audio. That's good. I like it. Sue's reading it. She's on chapter 15, but everybody loved it. That's good. So I think the people who read it got a lot out of it. We're going to share a couple of insights. So Al, I'm going to get going here. And if I see David pop up, I'll certainly grab him. And if for some reason we can't, then we'll just keep going. So we are reading the book, The One Thing. It's by Gary Keller, and he's a really great, business person. He owned a real estate business, and what he found was that he was running around like a chicken with his head cut off, as many of us do. And rather than trying to multitask more, he slowed down, figured out that if you focused on one thing, that could make other things irrelevant or unimportant, or took care of them, almost like knocking over dominoes. And that was one of the things that David Rayner talked about as a big idea early on in the month when we were going through things. That's a big concept. And so just wanted to share one or two ideas and then turn it over to Al. So I think that a lot of times when we talk about time management, we talk about tasks and we talk about the stuff we have to do. And, I think that I almost use the analogy of push and pull. And the more that you have a big why, a big vision, a big concept, it's almost like you're pulling yourself into activity, you're pulling yourself into priority, you're pulling yourself, it's almost like you naturally figure out what you want to do. Whereas if you start from the tasks, that's the stuff, that's the hard stuff, that's the push. And so if you feel tired, you feel frustrated, you feel confused, you feel like, gosh, I'm just getting dragged around the board, think about how much you're getting pulled into what you love, what you want, what your why is versus trying to push through the day. Pushing through the day is a lot harder than pulling. Hey, Lynn, sorry, I don't see David showing up as a panelist. So I think, he's got a free evening to join us in the chat. And if he's got a couple of insights.
You can send him the link again, because I know
I can't. Well, there he is. All right. Well, made it happen. That's good. So good. All right. Sorry about that technical difficulty. So the one thing was getting David on the Zoom. So we got that done.
I'm on. Hi, everybody.
All right, cool. So I was just talking about the concept of pushing and pulling, and that, sometimes if you feel like you're tired, frustrated, confused, or whatever, you might be pushing too much from the bottom up versus having that big vision and getting pulled towards your vision. And the one other thing I want to share on the front end is the concept of proactive and reactive. So the one thing encourages you to time block and encourages you to be proactive, to know what you want, to have that intention, to set those priorities, and to focus on that one big thing when your energy is highest and all that. And that makes you proactive. And when you time block and you say, this is my hour, this is my half hour, this is my 3 hours, I'm going to be making my calls to drive my business. I'm going to be doing X, Y, and Z. This is what I'm going to make happen. This is the goal I have for today. Then you can set aside other time to be reactive. And I do that a lot myself. I'll have people who will email me. I'll have people who will text me. I'll even have people who will call me, and I'll ignore it. If I'm in the middle of my time block, if I'm in the middle of my important stuff, and I'm working on a video and doing all the creative things and I'm locked in, I'm not going to get dragged all around the board. Even somebody as important as Al or David, they can wait 15 minutes. They can wait 30 minutes. They can even wait an hour and a half. So I know that we live in this world where people text and they expect 7 seconds, you're going to respond. Hey, sometimes I will respond in 7 seconds. If I'm in that mode where I'm reactive and I just got off a call and I'm doing something else and I'm answering emails and somebody texts me, I can respond within a minute or 2 minutes or 3 minutes. But if I'm doing focused work, if I'm doing proactive work, if I'm driving my agenda, I may ignore even people as important as Al and David for, an hour or 2 or 3. So just wanted to put that out there, push versus pull, proactive versus reactive. And that helps you to stay, closer to your one thing. So I'm going to go on mute for a good bit. Hey, one more thing I wanted to say on the front end of the call and the back end of the call. Next month, the book is that we're going to be working on is Give and Take, and it's by Adam Grant. So I'll put it in the chat, but the book is called Give and Take. It's by Adam Grant, and I'll mention it again at the end of the Zoom as well. But I'm turning over to Al and David. And I've got one little bit at the end, but you guys can run with it.
Sounds good. Thank you, David. And by the way, everyone on the call, you should put a thumbs up for all the work that David does. This is sort of out of his realm of what he's asked to do, but he's stepped right up to the plate when Taylor wasn't available. And then the other thing is to acknowledge Taylor for all the work he does. I was thinking about all the Zooms he has to prepare for it. I thought, holy something. I just couldn't believe how much work you do there. So give a thumbs up or a thank you to David and to Taylor for all the work they do. By the way, David, the other David, David Rayner, before you go, just learn to say no. Okay. That's you're good. David and I are on the same track of this. Say, man, if you don't know how to say no, you're going to say yes to everything and you're not getting anything done. So go ahead. I know you were thinking about that. So go for it.
Well, I was going to say, now remember we've been talking about the 80-20 rule, and maybe Al, David, we should consider kind of reviewing some of these key ideas today, just since we're getting ready to move off of this book. But, just think about the company, right? You mentioned Taylor and David. 2 guys, and there's a few handful of people that really make the Happy Co go. There's a lot of people that make it go, but those few people are doing the one thing, really make a difference. So thank you guys. You guys do make a big difference for all of us. And I think it's really important that we figure this no thing out, because what happens is, when we don't say no, it's hard to do the one thing. And you're right, Al. I mean, so why do we not say no? If everybody that's listening, why do you say yes when you want to say no? And it's because of something. Mostly there's three reasons we do this by. Number one usually is approval. And it's very subtle, but we mostly want people to like us, don't you? I mean, who wakes up in the morning and goes, I want all the people I'm talking to not like me. And like, think of our kids. Our kids get us because we will do anything for our kids. But sometimes the appropriate answer for their request is absolutely no. And because if you say yes all the time, that's not real. That's not life. You know, David Litt's not going to say yes to him all the time. Al's not going to say yes to him all the time. So you're going to teach them that everyone says yes all the time. So most of the time, we want people to like us and we won't say no. We won't have boundaries. And then we don't take care of ourselves. The other thing that's real interesting, this is just on my mind, so I have to get it off. I notice that if I'm in a room with people and I say, how many of you are givers? You give more than you take. If I did that on the call, put it in the chat if you're a giver. You give more than you take. Thumbs up, I'm a giver, whatever you want to say. Okay, so you put those two together, you're kind of screwed because you want people to like you and you overgive. Guess what happens to overgivers? Overgivers always attract takers. So now you're really in trouble because you're giving, people are taking, you can't say no. And so your experience is a little on the overwhelmed side. And that's why we're talking about the one thing. I keep talking about the things around the one thing. And I know you guys keep talking about what's in this book. And I keep trying to say, yeah, like to do the one thing it takes a real commitment to yourself. It takes a real willingness to create a life that you love, even if someone around you doesn't understand it for a while.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm on page 171, and one of the things I wanted to cover was accountable people persevere. And what I want you to think about it, accountable people achieve results others only dream of. Okay, so what I want you to, and that it has a little graph on the side, and it says you're either accountable or you're a victim. And I thought, dang, I wonder how many of us during COVID sort of thought we were a victim. I mean, I think to a degree, and David, each of you can answer that, I guess. But my life, I might have sort of felt like I was a victim. And here's the worst part is, it says this is some of the things. You get on with it, you find solutions, you own it, you acknowledge reality, okay, and you seek reality. In other words, you really do that. On the other hand, the victim avoids reality, fights reality, blames, personal excuses, and waits and hopes. Oh my goodness, that's terrible news.
Hey Al, I'll tell you something, man. Victims, the problem with it. Here's the thing: even when you're right about being a victim, even when you're right, you don't get what you want. I mean, like if I thought Black Lives Matter would make me $1 billion, and I'd probably be all over it. But the fact is, complaining about anything that's happened to me, maybe there's things that we have to make better in this world. We all agree with that, right? But me being a victim of it takes my power away. And then my brain is responding to my belief system. Remember, we've talked about this. What you believe is what you see. So you can't even see a non-victim reality. So I wish you could get what you want, but everything you do want is from the empowered side of life, which means no excuses, Al. No excuses.
And here's the worst thing is we all buy into our own excuses. And I think I mentioned this once before, but at one time when I first started network marketing, I had so many excuses, I got tired of them. So I listed them out 1 to 100. And I mean, my wife doesn't like me, or my friend, he had a job, but now he lost it and I can't do anything until he's fixed it. And so I wrote down all the excuses, and finally I just said, hey, listen, that's number 33. If you'll buy it, I'll buy it. Okay. And here's the thing. They say 33, what's that? I said, that's excuse you're given. I've got them all written out here. You can just pick whatever one you want. If you'll buy it, then you own it. Okay.
Yeah.
And David, that's critical that, what? Don't buy your own excuses.
Yeah, because then it stops you from being able to do the one thing. So it's like we all, we go out into our day going, I want to make it happen. And then these are the subtle things. Somebody said, I love this. Michelle says, when I started saying no, you would have thought the earth stopped. That's just that is so funny. So you givers, and you people that are wanting to create boundaries and create your business, often the people around you expect you to continue being at their beck and call, doing all the things that you basically have been doing, that in a way been a little inappropriate, because you can't just be a giver. Yeah, I wish it worked. But if you keep giving, you get exhausted, you get sick, and you get burnt out. Eventually, you can't be a giver. You have to receive in an unhealthy way. So the balance of life is giving and receiving. And for you givers, the biggest challenge for you is sometimes is the word asking. Asking. See, this business we're in pushes on the asking button. Yeah, I know, Al, because I've been an overgiver and it doesn't work. So you literally have to get comfortable asking for something that's just for you. And you may feel, if you're a little out of balance, you may feel bad saying no. But I guarantee you, if you're following your heart, if you're following what's true for you, and you, like Al said, you have a vision, like David said, you have a big why. You know that why is better than all the stuff going on in your life right now. And all the people you love will go up with you with that why. So you can't listen to them right now. They're not getting it. You have to get it, or you can have your excuses, right? It's a lonely road sometimes, Al, going to the top, because you have to leave some people to figure it out, and you feel a little alone sometimes.
Well, they can come later. Okay. The problem is we like to hang on. Okay. Because we're nurturers. We like to care about people. We want them to win with us, and we want to hang on to them. And so I got it, David, I got to tell the story here now, because I always tell the story here because I think it's really true. And if you heard it before, then just, laugh anyway or think about it. Okay. If you're walking your dog and you got him on a leash, okay, and that dog of yours dies, drops dead, okay, how long is it going to be before you unleash it? Okay. You say, could you pick a cat? My whole point is just this. We want to drag him with us. Okay, the trouble is we can run with 1,000. We can run with 1,000, but we can't drag one. If we drag one, it'll take us down. And what amounts is you gotta stop kidding yourself about that. There are people that are not ready to do this business right now. Dang, I wish they were. I got some really, really talented people. They're just not playing full out. They're not playing with the one thing. I did a thing this morning with one thing. There still lacks clarity. David, you were talking about, we've talked about this 3 hours. This is our 4th hour going at this thing. This is the study that work that you and David both did. This is crazy. It's the one thing. And it's got to be so crystal clear in your mind. I'm going to hit a couple of points here. Start saying no, accept chaos. Accept chaos, because some of the things that you used to think are so important are going to stack up like cordwood. They are. Because you're not going to be able to get it all done. Duh. Okay. Manage your energy. Man, I'll tell you, when you have your energies right, I'm telling you so right now, a one-on-one, it's hard to say no to me. It is really hard to say no to me. Okay. On a telephone call where I don't know if they're listening or not, they can say no pretty easy. On a Zoom, not so easy. Face to face, they don't have a chance. Okay. Attitude. So manage your energy. Make sure you're doing it at the right time. Take ownership of your environment. David, one of the things that I think you do a great job of is you control your environment. And I love you and Lynn, but bottom line, Lynn has a different energy at a different time, and you have a different energy. How do you make that work?
Well, we're starting to see like I told my wife the other day, she has a lot of gifts and talents that I do not have, especially this ability to talk to anyone, anywhere, anytime, right? I'm not necessarily built that way. So, we just have to learn to do our part. And that's one of the reasons that we started doing better in the Happy Co, because we started working with our strengths. I'll be doing maybe more strategic stuff. She might be doing more calls with certain things that aren't as strategy driven, and it really, really serve each other. And that's another element of the one thing, I think when you decide to do the one thing, it's because you really want to create success. And that's a real commitment to yourself. And I want us all to track. Sometimes when we make a commitment to ourselves, I don't know, man, have you noticed this out? Sometimes the world kind of tests us. Have you ever noticed, like, you make a decision, you feel good about it, and then, life happens?
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever noticed that?
Of course I do. I mean, here's a message. I made a decision. It's clear cut. I'm going after it. First thing I do is I get slapped around. Well, you know what? Here's what messes. That's where we got to figure out how to win. We got to use our creative juices. We always talk about the one step at a time. Just take your first step, okay, but don't stop. To get through the hardest journey, we need to only a step at a time, but let's keep on stepping, okay? And so this part here where he did this blew my mind because I haven't done it in a long time. He says, take your life, and says, and now with putting out the dream there, if you multiplied it times 2 in the different parts of your life, your family life, your spiritual life, your physical life, your basically the business you have, the partners you have. If you just doubled it, how excited would you be? How excited would you be if you 10 times it? What would happen if you had 20 times it? I mean, all of a sudden, when a person has a lot, okay? I mean, I knew I had a lot when I was giving to the Washington County Police. Okay, I knew I had too much money. Okay, because I was put a bumper on there because I have tend to be a lead foot. Well, here's the interesting part about it. I was on everybody's hit list because I had an abundance. When you have an abundance, you don't think small. When you think small, I mean, you don't have nothing for anybody. It's hard to get by. And you know what, David, you both of us have been there. And I think David Litt's been there too. But well, tell me a little bit about how it feels to come out of that mindset.
No, it's a little scary. That's why I'm saying, a lot of what, so there's an assumption being made when you're thinking of the one thing that you already are still in your mind, that you've already made a decision, and that you understand when you make a decision, you will be challenged. It's like, there's a book called The Dip, and it's like there's this gap between everybody that has what they want and most of the people that don't. And that gap is called the dip, because as soon as you make a decision to do this one thing, the one thing represents your dream. So we make a decision to do the one thing, we are going to go through the dip. So let's just assume that. What I want you all to know, you're going to go through a dip. You never question the decision when you enter the dip. You just, like you may get feedback really consistently that there's a better way to do it. But if you let what happens that challenges you stop you from doing the one thing, then you can't even get at that energy rolling, right? So I think at the end of the one thing of just doing it is the incredible dream and incredible purpose that you all have. That's what's exciting. I mean, everything you want, you're going to have to really step into your commitment to yourself to get it, which is one thing.
Yeah. And here's the thing. We either hold in our body fear or faith. They talk about it on 197. They talk about it. And you know what? It's so easy to let fear dominate. It is. There's no doubt about it. But you know what? Faith is, and this is what I've been meaning to do this, David Litt, and I haven't done it. Everyone on this call, the 53 people, 60 people, whatever it is on the call, make sure that anything that you hear that you want to put into play, check with your up team, check with the people that are your active up team. Now, notice I said active up team, because you may have people, I've had it in different companies I've been in. I had people that weren't active at all. One time I hit a rank and the guy above me says, "What do I need to do to support you?" I says, "Get off your dead seat and go after it." That would help me a lot, if you're just doing that. But anyway, so here's the thing that I want you to think about. And this one here, 20 years from now, will you be more disappointed by the things that you didn't do than by the ones you did do? And David, you hit this last week, and I think it bears repeating again, because the 5 regrets people have when they're on their deathbed and time's going away.
Yeah, and so much of it gets down to fear, afraid, not standing up and expressing what is in your heart, is right for you, and not owning it or deserving it. I think most human beings suffer from worthiness issues because the world is really interesting. It's very hard to get through elementary school without kind of starting to wonder about yourself, right? By high school, there's very little chance, and it's just not because you aren't great. It's because, it's the world is just, everybody's on their own agenda and no one's saying, "Hey, I want to make you feel good." That's our own responsibility, right? And so if we don't implement a plan and we just try to function in a world without a commitment to ourselves, there's a lot of lack of worth out there, right? So that's what you get down to, the regrets when people are at the end of their life. They're realizing at some point, why did I care so much about what everybody thought? My God, I spent my whole life. I have so many people that are so afraid to talk to somebody, and the people they're talking to, haven't, they're not like, gurus that have figured everything out. They're people that could use support. So, that's the one thing I'd say. Ultimately, fear, and as the book says, fear or love or faith, whatever you want to say, that's the choice we're really making, which is to love our lives and maybe experience a little fear. One thing I can tell you is fear is real as a feeling. Usually what we're afraid of, it doesn't happen, but we can experience the feeling. So you might want to just learn, sometimes succeeding means feeling a little fear,
One of the things that I think I'd like to challenge everyone to do is call up someone you haven't talked to in 1, 2, 3, 4 years that have made a difference and influence on your life that was positive, and thank him. Just thank him. Okay. Now, they're not going to become your business partner. They're not going to become but here's what amounts to is when you start getting in the attitude of gratitude, okay, it'll make you happy. One of the things is stay happy. I wish I would have been happier. I wish I would have stayed in touch with people. I wish I would have had the guts to express my feelings. They didn't put guts in there. I did. Okay. I wish I wouldn't have worked so hard. Okay. And the next one is the courage to live a life that I was true to myself, guys. And I think that's one of the great things about this business that we have, the Happy Co. You can be true to yourself. You can help other people. You make a difference. And I think that's important. One of the things I want to move to is, and they cover in the book a lot, purpose, priority, and productivity. Success is an inside job. David, for a second, talk about why it's important to know what your life's purpose is and how it becomes a priority and what your productivity comes as a result of that.
You just get connected from the inside out. I mean, that's what Simon Sinek was all about. Your why is driving your do, and your do is driving your have. David Litt said it last week. Who you are being is driving the kind of actions you take. And the actions you take are driving your results. So that who you're being is your purpose. How you want to show up. I don't know. We have a little sound issue, but who you're being is key. So that's why.
Absolutely. I want to read one thing at the end here. If you try to do everything, you could wind up with nothing. If you try to do just one thing, the right one thing, you could wind up with everything you've ever wanted. So don't delay. Ask yourself the question, what's the one thing I can do right now to start using the one thing in my life such that by doing everything else will become easier, unnecessary. And he talks about, so doing the answer your first one thing, but he says onward. And here's what amounts to. Here's the guy that went onward. He challenged himself. He said, I didn't have the strength to be going, 12-hour days, 16-hour days, day after day after day. He says, I wore out. So here's the thing, find the one thing in your life, in each area of your life, and do that. Okay. In other words, we talked a little bit about this. If you build the business super strong, you might be out of balance for a whack, but don't, back to the glass balls that we're trying to keep 5 balls up in the air. Make sure you don't drop the glass balls. Don't drop your family. Don't drop your marriage if you're married. Don't drop your friends. Make sure that you put time in there, but make sure you don't put it at the exclusion of the one thing that's your priority wise, business-wise. Because here's the thing. Gary Keller talks about this. He says to gain the kind of expertise you want to become the best, okay? He says might take 4 hours a day, might take 3 hours a day. But the bottom line is you should put your top energy level into that. So certainly what I would challenge everyone here on this call here, become the best you, but be clear about what your priorities are. And I think that'll make a change. David Rayner, anything you want to add before we turn it back over to David Litt?
No, I don't. I think you covered it great. And I appreciate all of us that have been on. I appreciate all the people that have been on the Mindset Mondays or Tuesdays, whatever it's been. I appreciate your commitment to yourselves and to, doing the inner work to create the outer results. So back to you, David.
Well, great stuff, guys. Appreciate you. You are worth every penny that we paid you, which was zero. No, you guys were worth a lot. I'm only joking in saying that we appreciate you volunteering for the betterment of the community and for sharing your wisdom and for diving deep into this book and really pulling out some great insights. I took a bunch of notes. And in fact, what I want to do as I wrap up here is to talk about how this book affected me this past weekend and made me a bunch of money. And that's because my one thing that I do for fun, I mean, it's the major thing that I do for fun, and I call it my hobby and my vice, is I play poker. I play poker every Saturday, and I was on the worst losing streak that I've been on the last 2 months. I played poker since 2003, and I've lost more money in the last 2 months than I ever have in any 2-month period in the past, almost 20 years. And I consider myself a very good poker player, but I kind of went back to this accountability stuff that both of you guys were talking about. And so the first thing I did was I had to be honest with myself. I mean, in poker, there's a lot of luck, a lot of variance, but the reality is I had to be honest and say, I've been losing. And that's not easy to do. I consider myself a very good poker player and whatever. And that's the first thing I had to do. Second thing I did is I basically went for help. I got a book. It was called Poker Mindset. It was recommended by one of the guys I watch videos on. I bought the book, didn't even think about it. He recommended it. I didn't research it. I just, bought the book and I started reading it. And basically one of the things that the book said was to kind of take notes as you're playing. And that seems a little counterintuitive because I like to be in the moment, really be in the flow and whatever, but I just executed. I just followed the advice of the book. So I didn't write down every hand in my phone, but every hour, maybe 2 or 3 hands that were key moments. And I executed and I ended up winning money on Saturday. And then I checked my notes yesterday. So I went back and actually reviewed. I actually measured. I actually went back through all of my notes. And I saw which hands maybe I could have played a little differently, or I could have played a little better, or maybe it wasn't as much luck when I lost some or won some as I thought, and I played well. So I was honest with myself that I was losing. I got some help, got the book. I executed what the book said without thinking or judging, like, no, that's not something I'm going to do, or I don't want to take notes, or that's a pain, or, I just did it. And then I measured my results, not only measured my results because I won, but I measured my results as to how I played. And I learned a couple things. And so I would not have done that without this book and without you guys pushing me to take some of these insights. So really, good example of a simple but important concept and how it shows up, that if you're willing to be accountable, take personal agency, take personal ownership, take personal responsibility. So I just suggest that all of you do the same sort of thing in your business. Could you be better? I guarantee you can be better. Do you need some advice or some help? You're on here tonight, and I admire that you're on here tonight. Can you execute better? Take something that we gave to you tonight or what you're learning from your upline and make it happen and then measure it. Al, you had something you want to share?
Yeah, I just want to add one thing here at the end. I said it early on, but I believe it's true. There's greatness that abides inside of all of us. The question is, are we going to let some other people in the world know about it besides maybe our spouse or our best friend? And what I'm telling you is just this: you got enough. You got help from above. You got help from the company. You got the ability to become great at this and influence thousands, tens of thousands, maybe ultimately millions of people's lives. And all you have to do is say, you know what? I know I got it in me. And you know what? Unleash that giant that's sleeping inside of you.
There you go, little Anthony Robbins. So next month, Give and Take by Adam Grant. I've not read that book. I'm looking forward to it. So get it on audiobook, watch, get it for Kindle, buy it from Amazon. Usually those are pretty quick to turn around. And Taylor's going to take that over next month. I'm not sure who else is going to be with him, but Al, David, thanks so much for what you guys brought to the table here. Like I said, affected me. You guys made me some money this weekend. I appreciate
yeah, we'll be looking for our cut of that, but hey, we're happy. We're happy.
You guys get $0.00. I just played you up because you were volunteering your time. If I'm paying you, then all that credibility and integrity that
Exactly,
you guys
man.
earn.
Yeah, I forgot I want integrity. I forgot.
Your
I
integrity
want
is worth more than your pat on the cover, although I did pretty well. So, all right. Well, thanks everybody. Hey,
Thanks,
we'll
everybody.
see you on Wednesday night. What's Up Weekly? We got 2 big month-end specials. So I can't spill the beans, but we got a great month-end special for customers, great month-end special for brand partners. Bring yourself, bring your team. And we're going to have a nice little run here to wrap up the month. And hey, congratulations on customer referrals. We've had a bunch of customer referrals, customers referring customers. We'll talk a little bit about that on Wednesday night as well. So thanks, everybody.
Thanks. Bye.
Appreciate you.
Bye now.
Bye now.